Dear guests, good morning and welcome. I am Dimitra, the team leader for awareness raising and education, and I will be your host today for the second webinar of the ECSF talks. A bit of background information on this concept. In September 2022, ENISA introduced the European Cybersecurity Skills Framework, a tool which summarizes cybersecurity-related roles into 12 profiles analyzed into the corresponding responsibilities, skills, and knowledge. At the same time, a few days before the publication of ECSF, the European Commission declared 2023 as the European Year of Skills and announced the establishment of the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. ENISA, in its role as a cybersecurity agency and in an effort to close the cybersecurity skills gap and to promote the concept of cybersecurity as a career path, is organizing this series of webinars to share to shed some light and share information on the career paths, on the challenges and the opportunities that each career choice provides. Stemming from the cybersecurity regulatory requirements, the role of the Chief Information Security Officer is in the spotlight. Is actually the first of the profiles designated also in ECSF. And we see that in the labor market, the demand is high, but the supply is very low, mainly because of the lack of seniority or experience that is required to be reaching this level. So in this second webinar of the ECSF talks, I am honored to have esteemed panelists which occupy the role of CISO, and I would like to briefly introduce them also to you. So let me welcome Dimitri van Zanfield, the Chief Information Security Officer in Dutch Railways. Ms. Tima Soni, the Chief Information Security Officer and Chief of Cybersecurity Division in United Nations International Computer Center, and also Mr. Antonio Sanino, the Chief Information Security Officer in Procter & Gamble Europe Market Operations. One more colleague will join us a bit later as announced. So Ms. Helena Zelenovic, she's a CISO at the European Investments Bank, but due to unforeseen situations, she will join us with a bit of a delay. I would like at this stage to give the floor to all the esteemed panelists to briefly introduce themselves before we start the discussion live. Dimitri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dimitra. My name is Dimitri, and hello from Utrecht, the Netherlands, where the Dutch Railway head office is based. I am the Cybersecurity Director of Dutch Railways, and I've been in the field for more than 3 decades now. I started off in oil and gas, doing programming, ladder diagrams on PLCs, for example. And from there, I developed a career into the IT, where I was a coder, a programmer. I started off with COBOL. It was quite some years ago, but it's still very useful. And over the years, I went into several roles on the C-level. I was an IT manager, I was a CIO, a CTO, and the last 10 years, I think I've been a CISO. And in this role, one of the last things I've done, I guided to Olympic Games for the Netherlands. 2 came right close after each other, Beijing and Tokyo. And then I joined Dutch Railways, which is a critical infrastructure. I'm responsible for the strategy, the risk management, governance, oversight. We look after the mobility chains, which are quite long in Europe. It's IT, it's IoT on the stations, it's OT in the trains, on the the body shops. I'm also a member of and chairman of the ISEC, the European ISEC, the Dutch Rail ISEC. And in my free time, I'm also the chairman of the oversight committee of the Dutch Anti-Digital Child Abuse Foundation. So trying to contribute to a safer internet in that area as well. And next to that, we are talking about skills. I was educated as an MBA and have some, I think, 10 cyber certificates on my name, which I really keep up to date. Back to you, Dimitra.
Perfect, Dimitri. Thank you so much. I still wonder how you find this free time.
Yes.
Tima, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dimitra. So my name is Tima Soni. I am the CISO and the Chief of the Cybersecurity Division of UNICC, the United Nations International Computing Center. I'm based in Valencia, Spain. I was in New York until last year, and here we are building our Center of Excellence on Cybersecurity. So I've relocated here. I've been in UNICC for close to 7 years now. In my current role, I provide cybersecurity guidance strategy to UNICC, but I'm also the CISO for the United Nations Population Fund. When I joined ICC, I was recruited to also be the CISO for the UN Women and the Pan American Health Organization. So I've had multiple CISO roles, even sitting in UNICC. My role is quite interesting and challenging. In ICC, we are providing shared cybersecurity services to the entire UN family. That includes around 90 plus UN and UN-like organizations. So I have a team which is growing exponentially. We are constantly hiring, recruiting people to provide state-of-the-art cybersecurity services to the UN family globally. What else? Before joining ICC, I was working for the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons based in Netherlands, The Hague. I lived there for 6 years. I was also providing cybersecurity support to the OPCW and to all its critical work that is doing in the 193 countries that signed to the CWC, the Chemical Weapons Convention. And before that, I was working for the private sector in IBM, also into cybersecurity. I have a background in technology, in infrastructure support. I have several industry certificates in technology, in cybersecurity. I have a master's in information technology and another one on cybercrime and forensic investigations. In addition to this, I am also the board member of the Cloud Security Alliance. Support them in all the work that they do. And yeah, that's pretty much me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. Tima, sorry, this has been amazing. I need to make a remark here to the audience that it was very difficult to find female chief information security officers, and we are very honored and glad to have two. Helena will come soon here with us today. So, Antonio, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so Antonio Sannino, I'm based in Italy, in Rome, and as Dimitra was saying, I have the role of security officer for Procter & Gamble in Europe market operation. So I've been having in broader IT space 23 years of experience, starting with P&G after small experience in a consulting company. So before getting into the security space around 7 years ago, I've been actually focusing on several IT areas and also filling the role of CIO for our Southern Europe cluster, which include Spain, Portugal, and Italy. And I think, we'll talk later, but I think having a solid IT background is also very important to fill the security role in general. So in the space of security in the last 7 years, filling several positions, starting with the risk management related work, then also taking global responsibility in my company for business and IT continuity, which indeed has a lot of links to the work we do in security to ensure availability of our solutions. And then indeed filling the security officer role. I've been taking in the last 7 years around 10 leading certification into this space. So I love security. It's my passion on the work environment, and I've been helping and contributing also with ENISA in a couple of projects. First with an ad hoc group working on incident response, and then actually I was involved in the development of the skill framework that we are also talking today. And when I have some free time, my two passions are board games, and I have around 150 board games at home. And it's a great way to involve my kids in this passion. And I'm a big fan of sports, soccer as every Italian, but also a few more sports that I try to practice every day.
Great, Antonio. Nice to hear that there are comrades in the board games. I'm also a lot fun, and we are actually developing a cybersecurity board game to also engage more kids into the concept. But let's not go into that discussion now. I would like to welcome Helena Matone, the Chief Information Security Officer at the European Investment Bank. And Helena, we explained to everyone in the audience that this is a life of a CISO. Unexpected things might happen. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining our little panel of CISOs here. Indeed, Helena Zelenovic-Matone. I am CISO of European Investment Bank here in Luxembourg, headquartered in Luxembourg. I've been almost 20 years in the same field, so a bit of introduction. Grew up in Canada and worked there for 10 years. I started in SOX, IT controls, and perhaps already touched the cyber at that time, which I don't think we had the word cyber. It gives you a little bit of a guess how old we are on this in this field. And then I moved here 10 years ago to Europe, and I've been ever since in the EU institutions, but it's first in the European Stability Mechanism, where I was one of the pioneers of setting up the IT security and InfoSec sites, and then now in the European Investment Bank. And in my free time, I just heard Antonio, I joined later, but he mentioned the free time. I really don't have a lot of free time, I think, and that free time is taken away by my 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old. So I'm a bit of a slave and follow what he wants to do. So that's what I do in my free time, indeed.
Thank you so much. Actually, this story with the free time started from Dimitri, and I think we were all wondering how we find free time. So I suppose that sleep is something that is of an overstatement, let's say, for you. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today with us. Just to share some information on the concept of the CISO and what we will discuss today. So in this slide, also for the audience to see, these are the 12 cybersecurity profiles as described in the European Cybersecurity Skills Framework. And you see that the Chief Information Security Officer is the first one from the list. What we understood from our research is that the Chief Information Security Officer has many roles. They manage an organization overall from a strategic perspective. They make sure how the implementation of the strategy is implemented, and eventually ensure that the systems, services, and overall assets of the organization are adequately secure and protected. So I wanted to share this to understand also from your side and from your overall experience. What does a day-to-day operation look like for a Chief Information Security Officer? And I stop presenting so that we go back to our discussion. So, Dimitri, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. It's a very open and broad question, and every day is different. And if you look at the last 5 days, we had to announce a serious data breach with one of our suppliers that involved 780,000 travelers. So that was, I mean, it's horrible to make such an announcement. It was a supplier that is being used by many Dutch service organizations, and so we were the first ones to announce. And that means that you, in the weekend, you have discussions with your executive committee on do we want to be the first? Do we need to be the first? You know, what is the risk for the traveler? What will the notification look like? What is the cause of the breach of our supplier? Is there any risk being transferred to us as well? Are we being contaminated, for example? So that is a crisis mode. Sometimes you're just in a crisis mode. Luckily, it's not every day. So we can prevent a lot of the crises, but when the crisis is there, you need to follow the standards, the playbooks, and in a couple of weeks we will adjust the playbook with the things that we have learned over the last couple of days, and that's a continuous, I think, learning curve that we're in. But normally, when all goes well, we just, I mean, I personally manage the teams. Some team directly, some in a more dotted line way. We have 25,000 people in the organization, so our cyber security function is scattered all over the organization. We have cyber champions, we have information security officers, we have local information security officers, red teamers, a SOC, a CERT. So our information security management is actually leading us in what we do on a annual basis. So we look at the threat landscape, we look at the attack surface, we look at the legislation that is coming at us. We put that all together with the risk assessments that we do, and put it in a big cybersecurity multi-million euro investment roadmap that we follow up on a quarterly basis. And then every quarter I go to the board to report on that progress that we do, and also show how that affects the risk posture that we have. So we try to lower the risk level, and I'm there to make that translation and to make to understand what is the right tone, what is the right level of detail that they need to really understand and be supportive of the cause to lower the cybersecurity risk in general. And yeah, for us, it's as I said, it's IT, it's IoT, it's OT, it's a broad spectrum of risks that we try to cover.
Great. So I think it's evident from what we also discussed before in the introduction, but also on what Dimitri shared now, that the Chief Information Security Officer indeed wears many hats. So you need to have a closer look on risk management. You need to have an oversight with regards to incident response and overall reaction, but also to work harder with, work closely with the team on the cybersecurity preparedness of the organization. So Tima, is this something that sounds familiar also for you, CC?
Definitely. And the question is a little difficult to answer, let's put it this way. But if I were to structure in two parts, one a normal day and one a not so normal day, which is very common in the CISO world. So in a normal day, I would like to perhaps answer the question by structuring the way my team is designed. So we have a cybersecurity governance team, which is doing security risk assessments, doing standards and policies. They are building cybersecurity strategies for UNICC and for the agencies that we support. And then this team is also responsible for doing security awareness within UNICC and for our agencies. And last but not the least, they are also implementing the data privacy and protection components that are required to be implemented from a technical perspective. So this team is bringing a lot of inputs towards me, reviewing risk assessments, providing inputs to standards and policies, reviewing strategies, and then understanding what needs to be reported to the board from a KPIs perspective. So this team is collecting the KPIs, matrices, and then reviewing with them what needs to be reported to different constituents of UNICC, the board, the executive committee, the agencies who we support. They're all interested to know how the cybersecurity program is progressing within UNICC and for our agencies. So this is one part of my role. Then my other team, which is the cybersecurity architecture, identity, and access, they are kind of the ones who are implementing controls to protect the organization and the agencies that we support. So here we have cybersecurity architects who are working hand in hand with technology, digital solutions providers, application developers who are developing new solutions for our business units. And they are the ones who are, for example, reviewing firewall rules, changes in IT networks. And every now and then we get into this hustle that the security team is not approving this change request because it's going to introduce security issues into the organization. So then it gets escalated, and then it comes to me, and then we have a risk-based decision or discussion on whether to go ahead or not. So that's also an interesting part of my job, but that happens. They are reviewing, they're participating in all the new work that UNICC is doing and making sure that cyber is baked as part of the products that we build. And because cyber has a cost, I always say cyber is not for free. So if you want security, you need to make sure you're budgeting it appropriately in your solutions. And if you're not doing that, then be ready to face the consequences. Yeah. So this is an important thing that we realized, and we are making sure that every new initiative that UNICC does, we are ensuring that the costs of including cybersecurity controls are included in the overall cost of the project. So that's identity and access. That's another one that we are doing, and every now and then we have escalation. So they come to me, and my role is very, I would say, I tell my team that, guys, as you grow up, you need to manage stress. That's the most important thing that you need to understand. Nobody is going to die, but you need to manage your stress levels and make sure that you are able to communicate professionally, uh, weighing the risks to the constituents who are impacted by the risks associated with cybersecurity. Then the most, I would say, stressful part is the security incident response. I heard Dimitri share. We go through very similar incidents every now and then. Not only do we support UNICC, but UNICC is the biggest hosting provider, shared hosting provider of the UN. So we host a lot of infrastructure, applications, digital solutions for the entire UN system. So every now and then we have security incidents. We need to notify our agencies. We need to assess whether there is a security risk, what is the impact on the agencies, what is the impact on the member states whose data is potentially impacted by the security incident, and making that communication not only to the agency, but to support the agency to communicate it further. So communication management of that crisis is actually a big part of my role, and providing advice on what is good to do, what is not good to do, how organizations can manage this situation, because it happens. No matter how good your cybersecurity program is, you will face a security incident. So making sure that agencies are prepared for it and they're able to respond gracefully to security incidents is also part of my role. Then we have the cybersecurity programs, where we are identifying new cybersecurity initiatives that need to be rolled out, not only in UNICC, but for our agencies who we support, and making sure that we are meeting the timelines, we are securing the budgets, we are making that dent so that the maturity of cybersecurity is increased as years progress, and that the UN is able to implement its mandate in a more secure way, or the agencies who we are supporting are actually able to implement their mandate in a more secure way. Last one is resilience. So we have a team who's actually dealing with business continuity, crisis management, and who is actually preparing organizations to deal with crisis response when it comes to security incidents that turn into a crisis kind of situation. So we do tabletop exercises, for example. We are helping them plan in advance that if there is a ransomware incident, for example, that is impacting your critical applications, how would you respond to it? How would you communicate? And that's where we bring the executives together. That's where I step in, where we are able to communicate to the executives to make them aware that if this happens, that this is how an organization could react. And the newest function that we are developing is cybersecurity solutions officers who are going to work directly with the business units to make sure that when they are conceiving an idea of a digital solution, they are also making sure that they are looking at the cyber elements of it, even before it comes to the technology teams, so that we are raising awareness straight at the business, at the level of the business, so that they are coming themselves with requirements of cybersecurity, so that we don't have to educate them again and again, so that they start thinking out of the box. So this is how the team is structured, and I'm leading this team, and we are providing advice and solutions. Now, from a CISO perspective of our agencies, so we have a lot of agencies who are seeking CISO support from UNICC, and one of them I'm supporting directly. So we have a similar team over there as well, where UNICC is supporting, and then I'm working with their CIOs and with their business units to develop exactly the same structure that we've developed internally within UNICC. So this is how my typical day is structured. Now, when there is a crisis, there is a major security incident in our organization or in one of the agencies that we support, then we roll up our sleeves, we bring our cyber incident responders together, what to communicate, what is the data impacted, how do we respond to this incident? Do we need people from the other side of UNICC who is actually the technologists? So because we are a technology organization, we have industry experts in all sorts of technologies that an organization would need. So what we do is we bring these people and we help upscale the resources that an organization needs to actually respond to an incident. Because if there is a threat actor who's, for example, taken over the Active Directory of an organization, then we have people who have actually responded to these incidents, not from a security side, but from a technology side, cleaning up the environment, helping the organization recover. So and then communicating, providing assurance that the threat actors have been evicted from the organization and working with them to make sure that they have a better cyber posture, reducing the likelihood of those incidents from occurring again. So every Friday we tell our team that, okay, guys, it's a Friday evening. Keep your fingers crossed, let's go ahead. So incidents still happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. I keep from this nice presentation of the structure the fact that one of the main goals that you have is that you want to keep cybersecurity as an integral part of all the activities that are running around. And I think this is one of the most crucial notions that the CISO should have an overview of. So just to go back to Antonio, how does the daily routine look for you, your team? Because I understand now after the interventions of Dimitri and of Tima that the CISO is not acting alone.
Yeah. So, I will mention one, I think, important activity on top of what has been already mentioned, but then I would like to focus more on the quality attribute of the day rather than specific activity, right? So I think on top of what has been said, one important activity, which I think should be done daily by the security officer is learning, right? And keep up with the latest trend, right? It's a job where it's fundamental, in my opinion, to know what's going on outside, right? So always find, I found very important to find sometimes, must not be long, right? But sometimes it's in the day where you are able to focus for a moment and see what is going on outside, right? In terms of new trends, in terms of new threats that you need to consider. And as well, education, right? So is a job where indeed we are talking about skills, right? So continue learning the skills that are required for you to execute the job is a continuous activity. Right? It's not that you get certifications and then you can say I'm done, right? So you have to continue learning. And so, make sure that this is part of your daily job, right? Now, in terms of quality, recapping also a bit what was said, I think, first of all, it's a cool job, right? And what I like most is the fact that it's one of the key qualities that is not repetitive job. So every day may look very different than previous day, in the good and in the bad, right? But even if in some situation can be stressful, there is always something that you can learn out of it. The other thing I would say is that it requires a lot of spirit of adaptation, as I would say, from two-dimension point of view, time and mindset, right? For time, indeed, some has been already said. It's not that is a kind of job where you can say, okay, this is my fixed agenda and I will respect it, whatever happen. It's not like that, right? So there are urgencies coming here and there. There is indeed a security incident that was unexpected, as always come, and you have to stop everything else that you were doing and focus on that, right? So time flexibility it's a key quality, and not everybody is ready for that, right? So there are more people that like to work on a fixed agenda. The other one is ability to, and I think this is even more difficult, ability to switch your mindset, because in a day, and I'm sure my colleague will experience the same, you have a meeting with a president, a business president, where you can explain to him or her how we are going about security, and translate the technical stuff into something that a businessman may easily understand, right? In terms of what are really the business risks for him or her, what are the key things that they should accept as a risk, or what are the key things that we are doing to mitigate the risk, right? And explain to them in a very business-oriented language. And then maybe 1 hour after, you are engaged in a very technical discussion on security control that you have to implement for a given website, applications, or a qualification that you are running with a vendor, so meeting with a third-party partner to talk dirty details, technical details of a security implementation. So indeed, mindset shifting, so being able to shift from these kind of two different audiences that you may experience during the same day, I think it's one of the key quality of the security officer.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Indeed, one of the tasks is to change the cybersecurity culture, and we are so many, the stakeholders that we are striving on this, but indeed the CISO is, has the first and foremost role playing in changing culture in an organization. So, Helena, how does the day look like in the European Investment Bank?
Okay, I think there's a testament from all the colleagues in CISO, regardless where we are, that it definitely is never the same. Every day is different. Every day is quite dynamic in its own way, and depending on what happens. But if I were to sum up like some of the most important things that we have to deal with, like I would say on a daily basis, is reading a lot of reportings, keeping in touch with first line of defense, our counterparts, our peers that we exchange information with, reviewing a lot of the reports, managing up, meaning managing up to our senior management, to the board, reporting a lot of things, in hopes of being transparent and what are the challenges, what have we done so far, but also managing the team and ensuring that the works are being done on time and with quality. And as well as I think somebody mentioned also, ensuring that CISOs are educated and continue with the education. I think Antonio mentioned, and I think it's very important because this is something where our capital in resource is very important, and very important to motivate the team to continue working with you and on the big projects, and sometimes in stressful times, to give them also time to develop and grow. Then I would say a lot of times we look into the policies and procedures where we need to update, given the changes that are happening constantly in the landscape, cybersecurity landscape. Somebody mentioned the trainings, very important as well, and it takes a chunk of time from us as well to train the people, and we try to be very innovative in the ways we train and raise the awareness around the bank, sometimes doing, the tailored trainings to specific groups of people, bringing externals in, bringing some of the peers to create the panels on this, to just simply raise awareness in different ways to our staff members. And then I would say lately what's also keeping us up is a lot of new regulations coming up, given we are a new institution and we try to follow the best practices always. And I'm actually very proud of that. It does bring a lot of new regulations lately to us. Just to give an example, DORA, our information security regulation that we have to look into at the moment. and see how it all fits. And it will take a lot of, quite some time and a chunk of work from us also to look at the analysis, gap analysis on this and implement the best practices, not just for us, but for every line of defense here. And yeah, I mean, you have other things where you firefight when there are incidents or things happening or ad hoc requests that we get, which is very normal. But overall, yes, a daily routine of a CISO is never the same, and it constantly really changes. But I also think we would not be here, all of us who are today sitting here. I think it takes the special character and a person to like what we are doing in this dynamic field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helena. Just one kind note to our audience, please also share your questions using the YouTube chat. And if we have time, of course, we will take them on board and share them with the panelists. We have received already some interesting questions, but before moving into those, I would actually like to ask you regarding the challenges that you faced reaching this position, but also the opportunities. Imagine that we have young people watching now the live stream, and we want to inspire them because you are role models. We want to inspire them to choose at a point in their career, in their life, to choose to take the role of the Chief Information Security Officer. Antonio mentioned that it's great, that I'm very enthusiastic that I have this role. But I'm sure that there are some gray areas. So which were the challenges you faced? But how did you overcome these challenges? How did you say that, okay, I will solve this, but my work is so rewarding, so I will stay here and I will fight for my position? And which are the opportunities that you see? Which are the ones that you see every day from your perspective? I will use the same order. So Dimitri, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's a difficult, and I think it's a personal journey that we all go through, and depending on the challenges that you get handed, you deal with it. And I think if I look back at my career, I made some choices. I started in IT, and I'm still in IT. So for me, it's a passion. I think for many of us, it's the same. So I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I like the technical stuff, and over the years, I became C-level, but that didn't go easy. I think I needed to be educated. I needed to be sponsored as well. Sometimes you need to get the opportunity handed, and then it's time to step up and to take the opportunity. But I think for me, the most important thing is to keep educating myself in all aspects of life. If I want to be a good coach to the younger people surrounding me, I need to also talk like a father figure to them. I need to help them with their struggles on a daily business, on a daily, it's got to do with developing your technical skills. Nowadays, we have a lot of AI discussions, for example, in our organization, and so I spent quite some weekends in figuring out what all the new technology is doing, not only AI, but also on different other technology stuff. And it takes quite some free time. But for me, the good thing is I'm a geek. I like it. So yeah, and the other, I think the last part is that all the certifications and all the requirements that we demand from our staff, from our cybersecurity staff, most of it I would like to have myself as well, so that I really understand what we are asking them and if it's really adding value. So I mean, sometimes we allow people that are, for example, we just hired two train drivers that had an IT savvy, and they wanted, you know, we talk a lot about cyber in the organization. We do demos, we do capture the flags, we do awareness and training sessions, and sometimes it's attractive for them to switch. It's a horizontal career that they can get, and we need to understand, you know, what step ups do they need to make, and I can't do that, and neither one of us can in my team if we don't understand the depth of the education that we are asking them. So I try to do it all as well myself. Again, that's a lot of free time, but I think it's worth it. And perhaps finally, it's talking business, because we are in the field to enable the business, and it's many times I think a couple of my colleagues already said it. We need to translate all the risks and the challenges from a geek perspective. That I have a preference. I like to talk geek and technical stuff, but I also need to be well. I need to make it sound okay on the board level, and some have a commercial background, some have a more financial background. So for that reason, I did an MBA that covers actually a lot of those areas. And yeah, it's you need to keep on educating yourself and growing as a person. And I think if a person that is applying for a job is willing to do that, and if you see that eagerness to develop personal skills, and then I think you can teach them everything. They can learn everything. It's more about the willingness to grow than to have the luggage already on board. Does it make sense?
Of course it does.
Okay, I'm just rambling on.
Thanks a lot, Dimitri. Actually, it is a combination of skills that is required. I don't know if we will have the chance to discuss about the needs for the skills, but indeed, this role requires different mindsets to be combined. So, Tima, which were the challenges that you faced, and do you think that they were stronger? I mean, let's face it, it's not easy for women to have this position. I don't want to talk about the women in cyber issue, but it is something that is there, even though today in this discussion we are more. But there is kind of gender balance, let's say. So which were the challenges that you faced, but which were the opportunities also you saw taking over this role?
Thank you. Thanks, Dimitra. So just going on the first, the last part that you mentioned, being a woman, me personally, I've never seen this as a woman or a man issue. I always approach it very pragmatically with a good understanding of the problem and trying to solve the problem. So I've never looked at it as a woman or man issue. And I have personally never experienced that being a woman, I was not given the preference. Maybe it is my luck, or I don't know. I personally didn't feel that I was having this challenge to overcome. Now going back to the challenge that a CISO, the challenges that I faced being a CISO, looking back in my journey in cybersecurity, the biggest challenge I have always faced is to explain to IT, business, senior management, what is it for them? You know, why is cybersecurity important, and why should they do what I'm asking them to do, or requesting, or suggesting, or advising? So looking at it from their perspective and trying to explain the advice, the recommendations that would make it easier for them to understand has been the biggest challenge throughout the career that I have faced. So I always tell my team as well that we all need to be very good in communicating what we are saying. And most importantly, we also need to exhibit emotional intelligence so that we are able to understand the other person's point of view and then still explain logically, making sense why they should go ahead in a certain direction and why they shouldn't go in another direction. Yeah. So, of course, technical knowledge is absolutely important for being a CISO, but having just the technical knowledge without having excellent communication skills, empathy, emotional intelligence, I think it's this whole package that makes the life of a CISO a little bit more easier than if you don't have, one part of this component. So personally, I've seen this as a challenge. How do I solve it? I have tried to push myself to listen more, push myself to understand more before proposing any solution, any advice, any direction. And also, a CISO's role is inherently a leadership role, whether it's acknowledged in the organization or not, but the qualities required for being a CISO are very much overlapping with a leadership role, because you're not doing a lot of the work yourself. You're encouraging others to do a lot of work for you, which will in turn build more solid, secure solutions. Yeah. So it's your ability to motivate, to guide, to give people that direction and that vision that they're building secure solutions that makes more sense for their constituents and their organization. Keeping yourself up to date technically is very important, and that's okay. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tima. Apologies, because we seem that we receive many questions. So I would like to take the same question on the challenges and opportunities with Antonio and then Helena, and then we will start taking the questions that come from the chat. So thank you so much, Antonio.
I think the opportunity and the challenge are very similar, right? And the one leverage the other, I think. So the opportunity is that, in my opinion, at these days, right, if you look at the work that IT does in a company, right, there are very little things that are more visible than cybersecurity in the eyes of business executives, right? So they are really scared about what may go wrong in case of a cyber attack, right? So this is a great opportunity because, I mean, all of you guys can jump on the train, right? So we are in a phase where demand is much higher than offer and available skills. And so this is a great opportunity for you to have a meaningful career in this space, right? As it happened to me as well, right? So the challenge, my personal challenge was that, when I joined the area of security, actually in my company, there wasn't a great internal skills as it is normal for a great majority of companies nowadays, right? And so we started the insourcing and, hiring, external hiring of experienced professional because of that, right? And so my challenge was, being internal resources that were actually wanted to leverage cybersecurity as also a way to advance in career was a bit to reinvent myself, right? So continuous learning that we talked about. So move from the core IT work to cybersecurity work, which means acquiring a new set of skills, right? So you need to be open to learn and not stop the learning. But if you embrace the journey, then I think there are very little areas said that at this moment in time can give you such visibility, such meaningful career, and also fun. As I said, I love this space.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Helena, which were the challenges that you faced and the opportunities that you saw?
In the interest of time, I will go a bit faster and not repeat what the peers have already mentioned. So I would say some of them also are on top of what everybody else said, is ensuring security while at the same time ensuring that you're flexible enough for business and enabling the business themselves. It's not always easy to do, and that's something we have to juggle with. Also keeping up with the dynamics of what's happening in our landscape, keeping up with learnings, not just me, but also for the team. I would also say keeping up with reportings, different ways of innovation and regulations that are coming up and how you report that. And I think one of the biggest challenges is the financial side. I think CISOs, as Dimitri said, I also took an MBA for that reason, not to be just on a technical side and to show that you can do the managerial side a bit higher on this and understand finance. I think more and more it's coming up that CISOs really need to understand the finance more. When we look at the ECB and the new requirements of stress tests, I always think about, okay, people are going to think about Tiber, red teaming, purple teaming exercises. But I think a stress test coming also from the financial institution will require CISOs to know a lot more about how to do the stress test from the financial point of view and how to really calculate what are the losses on certain critical applications should they be taken away by ransomware or so on. So there will be another challenge coming up, and I think it's already there. And I somehow see that our practitioners are not aware yet that it's coming their way. So there will be a need for more financial side as well besides the technical side. So let's see how this will be juggled in future with requirements of CISOs. I mean, that's my opinion, and I see it coming with more regulations that will be asked to do a lot more other things. Opportunities, then with another challenge also I would say is diversity. We all see that we need more diversity. We talk about it more, and I hope this in future will come up. That's something also that I wanted to mention. And I think opportunities for young people listening to this is given the challenges we have, you already see we need more diversity in our fields. You understand that cybersecurity is a plethora of things and not a black box or you sitting and just coding around. And we have a lack of resources. So these are the opportunities that young generations listening to this can understand that their jobs and looking for the jobs in this field perhaps are not going to be as hard as looking for some other field currently to get hired and find the jobs in those fields. That's it.
Thank you so much. I think that we heard a very interesting concepts, and we'll have a lot of food for thought, specifically on the requirements that will stem from regulation, on certification, on whether the certification is something that is indeed depicting the level of competencies, on soft skills and how other types of competence and skills are required, not only the technical ones. I would like now to move to the questions that we are receiving from the chat, because I see some of them are pretty interesting. So I will start from the last one, and hopefully we will have time to ask one more. Which are the 5 most important questions which must be answered to the board or the stakeholders by the CISO? So yeah, let's try and play this out. 5 most important questions that the CISO needs to report to the board. So let me change the round. I will change the round, we'll go the other way. So Helena, would you like to give us an indication?
Sure, I'll try to come up with 5 of them. I think the number
Only
one.
5.
Yeah, number one probably is how safe are we? So, and then I can stem from there, are we safe? You know, how safe are we? I can stem from there how that could be approached from other questions that could be plugged into this, because usually we are asked that question, how safe are we? I think it's important to answer what the strategies, medium term, long term, which we know can change obviously. But what the strategy is one of the ways to help on this. What are the reporting mechanisms? What is the risk appetite? And KRIs, the thresholds on the KRIs, and how well are we doing against the red, amber, yellow, green indicators on this, and how are you monitoring your most critical things? I would say, how effective are the controls when you look from the point of regulations and compliance, checking off the marks. But then another question could also stem from the point of being challenged on not just controls themselves from the compliance point of view and checking off the boxes, but also how effective are you when are you doing a red teaming, purple teaming? What are the gaps there? What have you found there? What are the next steps that you're going to do to remediate all the gaps that you're aware of? So I think I came up with more than 5. Maybe I didn't put them in the questions, but these are the things that would be nice to answer.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a
We
lot,
only
Helena.
pass actually one question: how safe are we? And what are we doing about it?
Exactly. I think this has a longer conversation to come after that. So, Antonio, 5 most important questions that must be answered to the board.
Yeah, first of all, I agree with Helena. The less KPI, the better it is, right? So I would say 5 is the right number, right? So in the end, it's all about answering the question: are we secure or not, right? Now, if we want to drill down a bit, in the end, management will be interested to know if we have been breached. And actually, it's not obvious, right? Because you may know that in many cases, companies knowing that they have been breached is even an information that may come from a third party. And it's not necessarily true that every company is able to realize that they were breached, right? So did we get breached is surely something in the mind of management. Did we get any fine, right? So the regulation is keeping up. I also role in privacy. So I always talk to management about privacy and security. And many times it's even difficult to make a difference between the two, right? And so GDPR and now the NIS2 regulation that is coming will have a severe implication for companies also in terms of fines. So that this is second question. I'm impacted from a financial point of view, either from a cyber attack or from regulation. And then I would say third one is how we are in terms of risk posture, right? So I think these are the main 3 I would mention. Then the risk posture has several sub-components if you want to get to the 5, right? Which is surely one more technical, right? So the security of our infrastructure, applications, website, whatever. The second one I would say is human factor. So we talk a lot about human factor because in the end it's always the most likely channel where security incident would come, right? So preparedness in terms of are people able to recognize phishing attempt and all these kind of things, right? And the last one is, are we ready? Are we prepared, right? So importance of preparing the organization is a cybersecurity attack is fundamental, because speed of resolution and as a matter of fact also speed to notify authorities when there is a need to notify are very important also for the regulation of the company.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Tima, your 5 questions.
This is not an easy question, let's put it this way. Many times the board is not aware of what to ask. So they are asking all sorts of questions to the security people, and security people are trying to come up with a response to them. But what I fundamentally believe is that perhaps the board should ask if the security program is designed and structured in a way to enable the business. Is it covering, or is it enabling the business, and is it providing assurance that the most critical business digital solutions are secured with a structured approach for enabling the business? So this is the part which I feel is very left out, because we are providing KPIs to our management. We are providing a lot of numbers sometimes to them, and they don't understand what it means, and they're like, okay, I don't know if it is good or bad. So bringing them to that level so that they can actually ask this question, that is the security program structured, funded, designed in a way that it is actually enabling the business? That is perhaps one of the questions that I would like the board to ask. The second one I would like is, are you prepared in case, with all your good work, still a security incident happens? How prepared are we to actually respond to remediate a security event that happens? Yeah, and then the others that other colleagues have mentioned, I fully agree with them as well. Those are also very important elements which should be considered.
Thanks a lot, Tima. So, Dimitri, the 5 questions that the CISO needs to report to the board.
Yeah, a lot have been said already by the colleagues, and I won't repeat them. But I think what I really like is if I go to the board, normally you will send your information deck a week before, and then it should be enough for them to understand. And so when you have your board meeting, if they ask how are you, I really like that. If they have a personal question, how are you doing? And I'm many times I get asked, what are your worries? And I think that's an open question, and that leaves no room for me to hide. So I think that's a very good question. And many times the last question I get asked is there anything that we should have asked you that we forgot to do? And I mean, they leave really no slack for me to really know. I have to be totally honest, which I obviously I'm always, but yeah, just to add three to the 20 that were already mentioned.
I was surprised not to hear a direct question on how much does this cost. So, because maybe it was already included in the forecast that you were sharing with them beforehand. I think though we need to, in the essence of time, to take one last question also from the chat, which again I find very interesting. Recent statistics say that the current tenure of a CISO in an organization is on average 18 months, only 1.5 years. How can we empower retention in addition to training, capacity building, etc., in the secure operations management? Very nice question. And we could think also of the reasoning behind why it's only 18 months.
Sure, I can go.
Yeah, please, Helena, you can go. Sorry, I was checking the chat.
I mean, I really don't know the right answer on this. I used to read it's 3 years, 4 years now. I see it being cut down on this recent study to 18 months, which is scary. I don't know, I've been in it for longer than that. I guess I survived, and maybe probably my peers as well. I think it also depends, well, it depends, I think, on many factors, and it's not just to blame maybe your environment and the stress, but also depends on people and their threshold on how much they can take in this field. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, I always say. I guess some environments can be much tougher than others, so there could be also blame, pointing fingers, blame culture on the CISOs when things happen, and it's not easy for certain individuals, to take that upon them as well. Indeed, a lot of those things can happen. I'm just trying to guess because, as I said, I've been longer than those 18 months, so somehow we survived in this panel. But I also think what helps to talk about the helping side is support of your management, support of the people you work with from the business, from management. And it goes, vice versa. You're supporting them as well throughout this whole process. Support on the resource side, on budget side. And I don't know, perhaps I've been lucky enough or blessed enough that I have that support. within my environment. Is it always easy? No, but that support really means a lot to the CISOs, to the practitioners in this field. And I think it makes a big difference within your culture and your organization when you have that support around you. So in the interest of time, I stop, allow my peers also to say.
Thank you so much, Antonio.
Yeah, I have a different perspective. So, in general, I think that the role of security officer, not differently than any other executive role, of course, you are under the radar screen, and in case something goes wrong, of course, you need to move on, right? But I would not see a difference of security officers versus other role, like could be the CIO or whatever other role, right? Actually, I bring a different perspective. I think that the time they stay is shorter because of external demand, actually, which is also what I've seen happening in my company, right? Is that there is such shortage in this area and in these skills that indeed, if you do well in a given company, then you have many others company that are in a catch-up mode, right? And they look at these profiles performing well in big or mid-sized corporation, and they offer a premium salary to move on, right? Which is what I've seen happening several times. So I think it's more a factor of opportunities rather than a factor of I've done something wrong and I need to move on.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Tima.
Yeah, I think I agree with both Helena and Antonio. The external factors are definitely one that is influencing a shorter lifespan of a CISO in an organization. There are so many vacancies coming up that people have this opportunity and they move on. But I also feel that in some organizations, the role of a CISO is perhaps confused with a person who's going to prevent bad things from happening. And it is not in their hands to prevent bad things from happening. And sometimes they become the scapegoat, and unfortunately, things go in a wrong direction. So raising awareness at the board level will really help in making sure that the security people are not in the stress of are not stressed out when major crises happen related to cyber in an organization. And it's like any other job. A person does not leave an organization, they leave their boss most of the cases, most of the times. So having that relationship, a healthy relationship with the security officer, this is for the bosses of the CISOs, having a good relationship with your CISO and understanding their problems. I really like the questions that Dimitri put forward, understanding the worries of a CISO and helping the person to actually do their job will really help them to continue and help the organization in being secure, because that's the person's role, which is not easy to achieve, but that's how it is.
Thank you so much, Tima. Dimitri?
Yeah, just offering competitive compensation was already mentioned. I think that's a hygiene factor. The supportive work environment, I think, as well. You need to have a mandate. That means also perhaps a good reporting line. And many times we have discussions about reporting to the CIO or to a VP of IT. And sometimes it's just necessary to have a more independent position in the organization and report outside the hierarchy of IT. And I think you need to have next to the mandate and the support, also the resources available to not only invest in your team to continue get them learning, but also invest in technology, because we need to automate our jobs. We need to automate many of the remediation that we do, because our teams are burning out as well. It's not only the CISO that is under stress, it's also the SOC analysts. And if we can't invest in tools and technology, then we can't keep up the pace of the attack that is, put on us. So it's a combination of things. And yeah, what do you think, Dimitra?
My thought. I think indeed that one of the reasonings of this high turnover is the high demand, and I think that this will become even worse, if I may say. As Helena mentioned already, the regulatory landscape is going to change. Governments will make mandatory for essential entities the role of the Chief Information Security Officer. I don't know if the C-level will remain, but one coordinating role for cybersecurity procedures and decisions will need to be there. So we will see even higher turnover overall, I think. I mean, in less than a year, people will be changing jobs. We have 3 minutes before closing, but I would like at this stage to ask you for a closing remark, and at the same time also ask you to give, let's say, an inspirational reason on an inspiration or a nice idea on how we can close the cybersecurity skills shortage, and how you would like young people to embrace the pathway towards becoming a Chief Information Security Officer. So I will start again. I will go back to my initial order. So Dimitri, a closing statement and an inspiring remark.
Okay, now I'm first. I would like to end with Einstein, where he once gave an exam to the students, and the students came back to him and said, Professor, we have the same questions as last year. You made a mistake. And then he said, well, the questions might be the same, but the answers, they're really different this year. And I think the same goes for cybersecurity. We need to be curious, we need to develop. And I think whatever we said in this event, next year it will be different.
The opportunity to meet again then. The floor is yours.
So from my side, what I'll say is that we need to invest a little more in the young talent, make them aware of cybersecurity as a potential career opportunity. I have seen universities are coming up with a lot of cybersecurity programs. So we need to, as cybersecurity practitioners, perhaps help them to understand what a career in cybersecurity means, because they see doctors, they see, I don't know, they see all these professions coming up, but it's not very visible, this work of a cybersecurity practitioner. So an outreach from the existing cybersecurity community might be really helpful. And as a closing remark, go for it. It's a very interesting job. Despite all the challenges that we face, despite all the uncertainties we face, it's a very important thing that will be required in the future. So we all need to learn to behave behave in a way which will help cybersecurity, and we need to bring more people. So that's where I would end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tima. Antonio?
Yeah, what I will say is that, the future will require cybersecurity professionals, right? So we are in a situation where regulations are coming. We see crises are coming and will continue to come, right? The Russia-Ukraine crisis, I think, was a big learning for everybody. And more and more the industrial processes will be digitized, right? So today, without IT, pretty much is very difficult for a company to operate. and cybersecurity professional that protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability of company assets. So they will be more and more at the core of industrial processes. So it's the right time for you to jump on the train and get passion for an area that is cool.
Great. Thanks a lot, Antonio. Helena, last but not least.
Thank you. I think that peers already have added a lot of great things, and I think one of those things that we need is perhaps more investment into cybersecurity education. And when we talk about that, I think not just in the universities themselves or masters, which I believe are actually already too late to get someone into the cyber because they already have pre-formed ideas of what they want to do by that time. But actually, we need help from governments, from private sectors, from educational institutions, all coming together. I say governments to invest more into education, educational institutions to accept these things and put more programs from early age, especially also to little girls to get them going on this diversity side, also to get more diversity into cyber, and private sector to kind of create some incentives to students, be it boys, girls who want to go into the cyber, to give them some incentives during the educational time to get and work for them and do something. So yeah, I think I encourage all the young generations to come in it, and I think, you know, with the knowledge they get and gain experience, the more they gain, the sky is the limit, and it's a great field, and I think there will be a lot more opportunities in the future. We've seen in our generations that cybersecurity is a plethora of things, and I think it's just going to continue growing in different directions. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the great, enthusiastic, and inspiring interventions. We come to the end of the second ECSF webinar, the ECSF talks. I would like to share a warm thank you to all the panelists who, I know it was a challenge for you to find this 1.5 hours to stay here with us, but believe me, it has been greatly appreciated, not only from ENISA, but also we will share this webinar with the wide community. We will show it also to the youngsters that we are supporting, let's say, and we would like this to be one of the speeches that we have together with role models on cybersecurity. On internal cooking, the third version of the series of ECSF will come in May, so stay tuned, and till then, stay cyber secure. Thank you so much.